Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcast for estate professionals who earn more, work less, and make a huge difference in their communities. If you get value out of this free content, be sure to check out ProbateMastery.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and valuable courses. To learn more, visit ProbateMastery.com. Now let's jump into this week's content. All right, guys, welcome in. I think our invitation email went out. It's a little bit late getting started, but this is the Estate Professionals Mastermind weekly coaching call. We do this every Tuesday. If you've never been here before, welcome in. If you're a returning guest, I welcome you guys in. And if you've never been here before, you're checking us out on YouTube, I encourage you to go ahead and subscribe and then go over to Probate Mastery and sign up for the weekly coaching calls. They're free and they're for you guys to ask questions, get motivation, share success stories, really anything that you might need in the probate niche. Good to see Bill Gross here. Bill, welcome. So let's go ahead and get started. I just want to let you guys know that this call is for you guys. So I'm looking for questions. We're basically here to support you in your business, share our best practices. We can talk prospecting, marketing, motivation, anything that you guys are kind of needing today. So show of hands, how many of you all are new in the probate space? So this is, you're kind of in the process of exploring it right now, but haven't done it. Shantae, appreciate that. We've got some veterans here as well. At least I see Cleve. Cleve is a veteran. I've seen Cleve. You've been doing this for a while. Bill's a veteran. We've got some really good experience that comes on this call. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about action today. So I'm going to start the day off by just encouraging those of you that are watching or here live to take action. So often we get caught up in our heads in this learning phase where we go, hey, you know what? There's so many different things that I can do. I'm just stuck not doing anything because it's like I've got 1,000 different paths that I can take and 1,000 different things that I feel like I need to know. Sometimes I might feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose with a new niche and all the things that I can offer and do for clients and do for my business. And I've got to set marketing up, and I've got to prospect and do all these things. And I'm just going to say, take a breath. If you ever find yourself there, take a breath and figure out what that one most important thing is that you can do, and just go start doing it. Take action. You're never going to know if you're never going to know if you can really grow your business until you take action. And guess what? If you mess up, you mess up a little bit. Failure is along the path to success. Many of you guys have heard me talk about the days when in my first year of real estate, I sold one single property, and I sold like 3 houses my second year. Okay. And these were full-time years in real estate. And here I am leading Probate Mastery and coaching you guys. And as a full-time agent, my first year in the real estate business, it was one single lousy deal. I made $1,800 that first year. Okay. Now my problem back then is I was not taking the steps that led to success and led to failure. Where your growth comes from is on that path that goes to success, and you've got to mess up a little bit. You've got to make adjustments. So I'm going to encourage you guys to mostly, for most of you all, it's going to be to grab the phone, talk to you briefly about a couple of different paths to success in the probate business while I'm waiting on hands. So if you guys do have questions, please shoot your hand up. You can do that with the reactions button. So if you go down to the bottom of your screen and click reactions, there should be a bar that says raise your hand if you have questions or you have wins and successes. You can do it there. But back to the action items that you guys can and should be taking. So action number 1 for the majority of you guys is just going to be to get on the phone. There's a lot of different things that we can do in this business. but having a conversation is your first priority. Some people choose to have those conversations with people at the door. So maybe you go door knocking. Maybe you pick the phone up and cold call. Maybe you're using a virtual assistant or an ISA that's spotlighting your opportunities, and then you pick the phone up and have a warm conversation with someone that your ISA has had a talk with. Okay. Maybe you reach out to attorneys or vendors. Okay. Maybe you go to the courthouse. All these things are important things in your business. And I would just encourage those that aren't taking any action to pick one of these action items and go do it. Go do it. Don't worry about all the fun things that we can do with marketing. Don't worry about getting on camera and recording a video, which is great. Don't worry about sending cold mail out, which is also great to do. If you're not in action and you're not getting business, go put yourself in a place where you can have conversation and dialogue with prospects or people that know prospects. As I mentioned a little bit ago, there's 1,000 different things that we can do in probate and will eventually get to in this space. But let's start with the items that are going to create the biggest impact the fastest in our business. Okay, so with that said, let me go to some successes, some wins. What are you guys doing? And if it's something advanced like doing a YouTube channel or putting mail marketing together, I want to hear that type of thing too. But anything that's leading to a win or a question. So Lynette, go for it.
Thank you. I'm just so excited. I have a win.
Great. I love it.
The win. So I've had some success. The majority of my business comes from investors, my sphere, etc. But I've been sharing that I'm an estate and trust and probate specialist, in those circles. And one of my trusted referral partners who's just in this ladies coffee group, she's in a ladies coffee group. It's a powerful little unit, telling you. She brought me to a potential client, and it's probate. So there's immediate sadness. She had lost her husband in 23, and then her son passed this recent July.
Hmm.
So she's spinning, you
Yeah.
know. And I was there on the phone. I had some travel booked, and my friend from coffee was sitting with her with me on speaker. I said, it sounds like she needs some sort of support before a week goes by. So we had the conversation, and come to find out, she's got her husband owns owned the estate owns 4 individual homes, a business, and a lot of specialty inventory around musical equipment, amplifiers, and production. And this one and she's having to probate the entire estate. It wasn't titled, so it could
Mhm.
be just passed through. So she wants to liquidate all of it. I ended up seeing the properties on Monday. They'll go to investors. I'm able to bring the investor or buy them myself. So with all 3 of those, and it's in conjunction with the attorney referral, who happens to be a tax attorney as well, a probate and tax, and the personal support that my girlfriend's providing. This gal who needs all of it, has everything she needs, trusted advisors, nobody that's going to take advantage. She'll have all the choices made. And it's what I really got is all of this training came together all at once in one specific context to conversation. And
Mhm.
it was an intestate probate filing, and she's having to do the same for her son in a ripple effect with the business and his assets and inventory as well. So I just want to say thank you for all the resources, and it is possible with general conversation, and when people know you have a competency that can bring, and they can
Yeah.
trust you to do things. And I still can't really believe it.
So this was a referral from an attorney or from someone in your sphere of influence?
Oh, this is from my sphere of influence.
Yeah.
And what that effectively did was, the text message I got after that meeting was, use me as a reference anytime. And she's pretty reserved, so
Hmm.
that was the utmost compliment. And then I brought my attorney friend in, who I have relationships from, business dealings and commercial estate, commercial real estate deals, et cetera. He got to see my competency. So now he's going to bring those types of deals to me. He goes, "Oh my goodness, I mean, these properties are a mess. Nobody can handle this.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to handle this." And at this point, I told my sister, I said, the properties are a disaster. It's my specialty.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I like to say, like,
Especially with your
will not
investor
turn down a
network.
luxury listing, but this is familiar case study, knew exactly that. It didn't even flinch. I mean, and the stuff I don't know what to do with, there was it didn't matter yet.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
And why does it not matter yet? The things that you don't know what to do with, why does that not matter yet?
well, it doesn't matter because I will know.
You will know. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You don't have to have all the answers today. You need to
It,
have a conversation, offer value, look for things that you can do for your now client,
yep.
and then find the solutions.
Well, and then the other thing that, as we all know intuitively or someplace, it's the most critical part is when they're speaking about things that seem to not matter at all.
Hmm.
Does matter because that's moving them forward, and it's my job to keep them on track with why I'm there. But it doesn't mean what they're saying is impertinent to the transaction. What it's doing is it's just clearing the space, because this is, I mean, like, physically, literally, and it's figuratively clearing the space for them to get their head around the process of a huge transition. She's
Yeah.
71 years old. She's been married 50 some odd years and hasn't paid a bill,
Mm.
you know? So
Life change.
nothing's in her name. And I mean, it's like, I, it's like it's
Well,
kind of, eh, as a female, it was kind of hard to see.
yeah.
Because
I'm sure
that
your
and,
mind.
and I'm very grateful for where we are, as a
Yeah.
culture in that respect. Yet there are things to handle, and there's structure to put in place once that transaction, or the series of transactions, are handled. And in all of it, in the whole mess, she goes, "I'd like a little ranch all my own." And I'm like, "Well, let's find one, you
Yeah.
know. So
So,
someplace
um,
for her to land."
not to take it away from what she needs and the support that you're providing, because that's priority number one.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, there's a business benefit for you, and it sounds like it's for real estate transactions. Is that correct?
So it's at least four.
At least four.
At least four. If I bring the investors, it's seven.
Yeah. Yep. All from talking to someone in your sphere of influence and telling them that you are, I don't know if you use the word specialize in probate, or what you used, but bringing this up to your sphere of influence.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wasn't even a lead, wasn't even on a probate lead list. I mean, it
No,
might have been, but
no.
yeah.
It it's interesting because the probate. So I'm in Denver, city and county in Denver, and this is in that metropolitan area. Probate was filed on the Western Slope. It wouldn't have hit anybody's probate lead list on the Front Range where we are.
Mm,
And I thought that was fascinating because
yeah.
I'm, well, there's a lesson in and of itself. Like, it was just weird. The whole thing was
Yeah.
weird. And I'm actually glad because I think she would have been just inundated and
Mhm.
as most of them are. So
Well, just imagine you're going through probate for the first time. You're in her shoes, going through probate for the first time. You haven't paid a bill in 50 years. Nothing's in your name. Imagine the overwhelm that you're facing and how, let's just say you land on a probate list and you have no idea who to choose. Are all agents the same? No. Are all investors the same? No. Who's going to step in and help me with this whole jumbled up process? And if she'd landed with just a regular agent or a regular investor that didn't know probate, most likely she'd still be wrapped up in this and feeling overwhelmed for another year.
uh,
And I know she's going to feel overwhelmed for a while, but you're potentially going to shortcut this process for her by months and months and months.
for sure, I would say at least a calendar year. And then the other thing that came that I don't know that I understood as well as in this particular instance. Um, there's proceeds. The properties are free and clear. They are very investor friendly. I wouldn't put them on a retail market the way they sit. We'll have a whole conversation about all the options like we know to do.
Mhm.
Yet, what I think most people would have ignored is like, does he have back business taxes? Because if you're going to liquidate and go spend the money and then you owe, some odd hundred in back business taxes that she didn't have visibility. He hadn't filed since 2015.
Mhm. Yeah.
So so to actually go spend that money and distribute and then have a bigger problem than what you started with absolutely no resources to handle and having to unwind all that would have been ridiculous. And I think people just go sell, sell, sell,
Yeah.
just transact. It's not transactional, it's relational, it's comprehensive, it's holistic. And it really gave me perspective on how to approach things more concisely.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, himity ha, I can do that.
Yeah.
I think I can't even stand it, somebody else listening to it. So just really getting to what I can bring while I'm listening to what they have to say. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So, for anyone that heard that story and went, "Oh my God, I'm not prepared for that." What would I do if somebody needed all that work? That's what you get when you specialize in probate. You learn how to not have to be the single resource. One of my favorite books is the book Who Not How. And it is another one of my favorite books. So I'm going to tie both of these together. Another one of my favorite books is a book called Lynchpin. So linchpin is that you put yourself in the middle to provide the resources and the connections that someone needs in whatever they're going through. Who Not How basically says it doesn't always have to be you. You don't have to show up to that appointment and find out that their taxes haven't been filed and there's musical instruments to be sold and there's three houses and they need work and they need to be cleaned out and who's going to cut the grass and all these different things. God knows I've driven over to houses in the back of my Honda Civic years ago with a folded up lawnmower in the back and taken it out and cut the grass because I didn't know how else to do it. I've done that. I'm going to encourage you guys to not feel like you have to be the who for um, every single element of overwhelming projects like this, but you need to know how to go find the who that can help you. And if you find yourself in a situation where you don't know um, how you're going to solve something or who you're going to get to solve it, be confident in your ability to go find the solution.
it's
Don't
it's
shy away from the dialogue just because you don't have the relationship yet. You'll find it.
it's really interesting because like as the conversation went on, it's like, okay, we have precious metals liquidation. We have large music venue, sound system liquidation. I don't know how to do that, that kind of thing. And then there might be a secret pot farm in the backyard,
Yeah. Yeah.
there might be. I didn't see it.
You smelled it.
I did. I did smell it. That's how I'm like, well, and that's the other thing, to bring a retail client, just somebody's going to list it and have the general public go through, like a fiduciary responsibility with the client in jail. That's not a good idea, you
Yeah,
know?
right, right. Amazing. Well, I greatly appreciate it. I want you to hang out as long as you can. If there are follow-up questions from any of our other guests that have their hands up, you can jump right back in and help clarify anything, because I'm sure some of these questions are going to have to do with your deal and how you found them. Let's go to Natalya first.
Well, I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Number one, so was just from the conversation with one of the family members that I was initially calling. So it was the daughter of the PR who thought he is the PR, and then when they filed the probate, they find out that the will was not executed correctly. There was no witnesses' signatures.
Okay.
So, and while, before the probate, filing probate, he was actually investing money into upkeeping the property of his brother. So that's what it was. So now he realized that he is not a PR, and his brother's ex-wife is, and his son, because the son is 18. My question to you guys, in this situation, his daughter asked me, will he be able to recoup all the money that he spent on the upkeep of the property? My answer was yes, and there is a form, right, to file the for that. So I
Mhm.
just need your opinion on that.
Yeah, provided it was properly documented and
Exactly.
he can show, just like you would on your taxes, you need to be able to
Mhm.
show what the money was spent on, where it was spent, and then the court should have a document to be able to submit those invoices to the estate for payout.
That's what I
So
thought. Yeah.
yes, yes,
Hmm.
it's going to get filed as an addendum
Hmm.
into the probate filing.
I see. Addendum. Okay.
Mhm. And
Gotcha.
if there's not money currently in the estate, then he's going to have to wait until the estate um, assets get liquidated and settles to get paid out. However, if there's money in the estate, and now the court has to make this decision, so you have to take this in front of the court. They will probably approve him getting reimbursed before probate closes,
Nice.
but you have to submit it to the court and go to a hearing and just ask the judge when that payment can be made.
And he doesn't have to have a attorney to file this addendum.
No, you don't. It should be depending on the clerk.
Okay.
It may or may not be very easy to find. I was hearing and coaching yesterday how the clerk in one courthouse was not very cooperative, and basically just said, "Hey, that's what you hire attorneys for." That was basically the clerk's response, which is not very
Mhm.
professional, but I know
Mhm.
clerks like that. They're not always the highest paid, most friendly people out there. They're under a lot of pressure, and they might just say, "Hey, go hire an attorney."
Mhm.
He does not have to have an attorney to do it. Depending on the court system that you're in, it may be beneficial to have a fiduciary or an attorney involved,
Got
but
it.
you don't have to
Okay.
have one.
Okay. And one more question. We currently have a deal with the probate where the sister inherited everything, so there was nobody else, and the deceased was the sole owner of the business, and he had the vehicle register under the business name. So, in your experience, how do you usually transfer the vehicle from the deceased business to somebody else?
Yeah, what state are you in?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Um, do I have anyone in Minnesota here that's dealt with that? And then I saw Bill Gross float in a little bit ago. Bill, are you still here? Have you dealt with business transfer? For me, I would absolutely go get an attorney on this one. Um,
That's the problem. The attorney has no idea. But I was just, I know
oh. Can
Yeah.
the attorney refer? There should be a business attorney
Okay.
that the attorney can
Yeah.
refer to. I think that this is a great opportunity to make another attorney connection. So your attorney currently doesn't have any idea. Go make some calls and find another business attorney, a different one. Every excuse that I have, an area where I don't know the answer is always an excuse to establish another high value referral relationship. If I were to call a business attorney, their radar a lot of times goes up. They're like, here comes a cold call, someone that's probably looking for referrals from me. How much easier is it to approach someone that I want a relationship with in the future when I have a problem and a potential client that they could help? They're always going to take my conversation as opposed to maybe 30 or 40% of the time if I go in cold. So this is your chance to help find a solution for this client where one isn't readily available. Like I don't know exactly what the solution is there. That's why I'm going to say go to an attorney that deals in business, and be prepared for the next business attorney that you talk to say, hey, this is outside of my specialty, but they should be able to provide you with a referral. They probably know someone that deals with this type of thing, an inherited business.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. I
Thank
love
you.
it. Has anyone dealt with an inherited business? Oddly, I have not dealt with an inherited business like this. There's usually an estate plan that um, lays out distribution of business assets. Let's see if I've got anyone. Nope. Okay, if anyone does have an answer to that, chime in with your experience. I'm going to go to Arthur though. Arthur, go ahead, unmute yourself. On a phone, those mute buttons are always hard to find on the phone. Okay. Arthur, go ahead.
Got it.
There you go.
Got it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. All right. So I'm at the beginning of my adventure. And so my questions will be pretty basic. And I'm just trying to get a feel. And it's stuff that if I don't have a feel for, it doesn't stop me from going forward, which is good. But it still is good to have a feel. Now, I'm the person from a couple of weeks ago that's on Cape Cod. And so that's raised a couple of questions as I've gone farther into it. We seem to have about 40 probate cases a month in Barnstable County, which is what County Cape Cod is.
Mhm.
And so that's not, by listening to some of your YouTube videos and stuff, that's not all that. It's less than the average for counties
Average is
nationally.
60 per county across the country. So a little less, but not bad.
Right. But if we do the numbers, I watched your thing about how to get 2 deals a month. And, that starts off with 50. Now, again, 40, 50, none of this is stopping me from going forward. I'm just trying to gain a feel. I obviously can go to another county. Now, let me, I guess this might be relevant. The way I'm assuming is the best way to do it, and is just to pull the records ourselves. They get filed daily. So I literally can be calling the day that it's officially, well, I guess it would be the day after. It would have been filed. The ones that hit this morning would have been filed yesterday.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so, and I know that some people don't do that because it takes extra time, but I have a virtual assistant who can do it electronically, and so it takes no time for me. So that's already a fairly big geographic area. Most realtors don't do the whole county of Barnstable because it can be an hour and a half to get to the far side of it. So the first question is, do people seem to want a local realtor, quote, whatever that means, when doing with probate, or is the fact that it's someone who is comfortable with probate? How much consideration or nervousness should I have about working people that are
Yeah.
not next door?
They don't know what they want. Okay. This is new for them. They're overwhelmed with other things. All they really want or will eventually want our solutions. In the beginning, most people that you call, let's just pretend that you position yourself as a realtor. Now, I don't know if that's how you're going to position yourself, or if you're going to position yourself as like a concierge provider for probate needs, or what, but let's
Yeah,
just,
that's how I'm going to start off the conversation, at least. I'm not going to hide that I'm a realtor, but
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So the overwhelming majority of them are dealing with 1,000 other things before they're going to start talking about the real estate. So that's why I would position myself as someone with probate specialization and probate services above. I'm a local realtor above that. Now, once you start having real estate discussions, they either have built up a trust and respect for you because you gave them other help and other services, or if they haven't received any of that and there is no trust, then they might fall back and say, "Hey, I kind of prefer someone local." But I find that in the counties that I serve, I don't need to be local at all for the majority of them. I've had probate deals an hour and a half away. And for the most part, they don't care because they grew to trust and like me over the previous 2 or 3 or 4 months where I was connecting them with other resources and giving other services.
Okay. Uh, which then would lead to the second question. In order to get more volume, I could go to another county.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As just an example, Worcester County is a county that's about 4 times the size of Barnstable County, and has a little over 100 probate cases a month.
Sure.
Okay. Now I could do that a couple. First of all, some people hate driving. For me to jump in the car and drive is nothing. It just okay. So that doesn't bother me. And with doing the listing, you're not having to drive the person around to see, 5 houses a day, 10 different days. So, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to handle a listing that was an hour and a half or 2 hours away. But the other option is I could find, I don't think with any difficulty, a local realtor to work with.
Yeah.
How many of your people have done that type of thing, and what
Me.
you do? Okay, we'll
Yeah.
talk me through that a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, finding them, I don't think is going to be a problem. Okay, I mean, well, let me ask you, what kind of commission split do you do with them?
Oh man, a lot of different ways you can do it. It depends on what you're having them do. So for me, a lot of times I have them run the whole listing appointment and everything. So if they're doing all the cold calls, I'm doing marketing, they're doing the calls and the appointment, then I'll probably give them 60% after our expenses. If I'm doing everything and I'm just sending someone to manage the listing, it might be as low as 25%. A lot depends. There's many different models. However, I want to go back a little bit. So
Please.
this is assuming that you go take this other county on. And I'm going to advise you not to go take the other county on right now. It's
Yeah,
great to
yeah,
get the bigger
not
number of
initially,
leads.
but
Yeah.
right.
Eventually, yeah. Get your
Mhm.
system dialed in, develop the right skills of moving someone through the pipeline to the appointment stage, of providing the assistance that you need, of having your follow-up marketing together, your local vendor team, and then you start to expand out. And once you start to expand out, that's when we're talking about this. So for me, I normally find someone, if I'm going to work with another person, I'm normally going to find someone that does something a little bit different than I do. So um, in our market, Courtney Rollins and I do work together, partially because I trained my competitor and he's almost better than me in most areas. So I figured why not join forces instead of compete. Okay, but Courtney's an investor. I'm primarily a listing agent, so it really rounded out the offering that we gave. Now, I was already offering to buy houses and making offers on houses, but that's his go-to, where my go-to is listing. So we teamed up because we kind of come at the business from two different angles. If you're
Okay.
just getting a listing agent, a lot of it's going to depend on what you're going to have them do and what you're going to hold on to. If you're having them do a lot and you're just providing the leads and the marketing, give them a higher split. If you're having them do very little, just kind of manage your deals that you've put together, give them a lower split.
Mhm. Well, what I would anticipate, and obviously, I'm at the beginning, so it's just anticipation at this point. I would anticipate making the initial calls because I don't mind making calls, and a lot of people have trouble with it. It just isn't a problem for me.
Okay.
So I do the initial calls. I would do the initial nurturing, the mailing of extra items, emails, videos, whatever we're doing as part of that nurturing campaign. And when someone was ready to do the listing, in other words, the person said, "Okay, I'm ready to sell my house. What's our next step?" What I'd do at that point is explain to them that I partner with a person who's, around the corner from them type thing. And what I'll do is make an introduction and have them, come and take care of the paperwork and stuff. And so hand it off at that point. But then at that point, I would be out of the involvement, except if there was an issue around probate that other person didn't understand.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, give them a higher split. I would put them a little higher. I mean, I wouldn't put them at a huge split because you did all the cultivating and getting the person to the table, but I'd probably take a healthy referral fee in that case, like a nice 35 or 40% referral fee. But there's a
Okay.
lot of different ways to do it. That's the way that I would feel about it today. Ask me tomorrow, and I might tell you something a little different. There's literally so many paths to market and structure your business that are successful. I've tried a lot, and I can tell you guys what doesn't work. But there's still a lot of different directions that you can take in your business that do work. And so often people show up and they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this," and I appreciate the question. So I want you asking these questions. A lot of times my answer is going to be, yes, that's one way to do it. There's 5 other ways to do it. Eventually, you just kind of pick one and you say, I'm going to go with this until it's showing me that I need to make an adjustment. And so what you're describing sounds perfectly fine. I would go with it when you're ready to expand into a different market, go with it. And when you run into a challenge, ask yourself, does this mean that my model is broken, or does this mean that I just need to make a little tweak or adjustment here and there? And most of the time, it's simply a little small evolution that you need to make for your business, just a little tweak.
Okay. I was thinking about a 50-50 split. Is that, you think I'm
Sure.
keeping too much, or?
Yeah, go for it. Sorry to
Okay.
give such a flippant answer. It's really it's fine. Um, 60-40, 50-50, 40-60 the other way. It's fine. It's a matter of who you get and are they good enough to capture the business once you get it to that point. And if they're good enough and nobody else is good enough and they want a higher split, then you give the higher split to keep them.
Right.
So yeah, it all going to require some adjustments. I don't think you're there yet, so I wouldn't go too far down that path at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Last question then. Uh, if I only have 40 leads or 40, well, I probably only have 30 people to work with a month because of the 40, that's all the probate, but not all the probates have houses attached to it.
Correct.
So I'd probably say I have 30.
30. That's fair.
Um, by the math that you were doing and you think about how to do two thing, I'd be probably getting one a month at that point.
I think that you
Out of
want
that?
to identify how many will sell. And in general, half of those with real estate will end up selling. Now, my math was just showing you how to get what, 15%, something like that.
Yeah.
So I know people that get 40 or 50% of the available inventory in a particular niche. Now, you're doing a great job, typically with low competition, to do that. But there are people that get 40 or 50%. There are people that get 5%. When I kind of laid that get two out, I think it was based on just capturing 15% of those probates that
Correct.
will sell. You put the right structure together and you'll blow that out of the water. I would make my first target one deal a month though.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that percentage seemed low to me. If I'm catching them on the day after they've filed,
Mhm.
I shouldn't be competing with anybody on day one.
Right.
Okay. So, they should have a relationship with me at some level before the competition show up. And I have not found anyone else in Barnstable County that seems to be doing this. Now, it doesn't mean there isn't,
Yeah.
but there isn't anyone else making a lot of noise about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got a wide open market, and even if there is someone making noise about it, the odds are that person won't make noise about it for very long. And I'm saying this because I see a lot of you guys daily. Now, those of you whose names and faces I see week after week after week for years, you guys have my applause. Because a lot of people come in and they won't do the work. So Arthur, already you're out there doing the biggest piece of hard work available, and that's having a conversation with someone that's filed probate. That's the hardest part for most people. If you do that and you do it consistently, you'll be around for a long time, unless your dialogue is just garbage and it just repels everyone away from doing business with you. But if you make that phone call and are willing to have a conversation and make the adjustments to make your conversations better, you'll be in for the long run. And then I really wouldn't worry. So for me, I've trained dozens of people in my local market. Courtney is my competitor. Well, was. Okay. He's the one that took everything and ran with it and kept consistent at it and fills a pipeline up. And if there's two people with a full pipeline, you guys can each get 30 or 40% and both be in really great shape. If there's three people, you're still getting multiple deals a month, even in a county that only gets 40 probate leads a month. This market, this ocean that we're swimming in has very little competition. And even if there are one or two people that are doing it at a high level where you are, or five, there's still room for steady and consistent, predictable business in your market.
Yeah, I've talked to now 10 different attorneys that handle probate,
Mhm.
and not a single one of them has been approached by a realtor at
Great.
any level,
Maybe I'll
which is
move there.
stunning. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just stunning to me, but
Yeah. Cool.
okay,
All
great,
right.
thank you.
Thanks, Arthur. Appreciate it. Let's go to
Okay.
Kathy.
I am new girl here. Wow, this is so cool to see all you guys and that everybody knows so much. This is amazing. I think I'm going to make this part of my usual routine, if you don't
Well,
mind.
welcome. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm in California and I just picked up 2 probates. I've done a non-court approval probate in the past, very far past,
Mhm.
very far back. And I just got this. So this is court approval. This is requiring court approval. So, we did the listing and I met with the contractor. The lawyer wanted the contractor to send estimates on the house just to see, for value or whatever.
Mhm.
And now we are going through the process. We're going to be, we're going to put the sign up and started listing it. But isn't the process kind of backwards when you haven't gotten the appraisal yet? The appraiser hasn't come in yet, and we're going to be, accepting offers, making it known it needs court approval. A lot of these people will be familiar with the process, but when it needs to be 90% at the value, right? When you go to court, the offer needs to again be 90% of the value. How come they're saying, yeah, go ahead and list it now when I don't have the appraisal? Isn't that kind of backwards?
Is it full authority or limited authority?
Limited authority.
Limited. Okay. Who is saying go ahead and list it? The court or the family?
Attorney.
The attorney. Go ahead and list it. Let the court adjust your movement if they are going to. Okay. Always, if I am not getting pushback, I will run with my process. And if the court steps in and says, hey, hold up, you need to change this, I'm gonna say I'm sorry. I thought I was doing right. Let's go back. So I always want to err on the side of taking action, especially if the attorney said go ahead and list it. And I'm assuming that this attorney does probate, so they're not
Yes.
a business attorney. That's their
No,
first probate, right?
it's trust attorney.
Yeah, yeah, list it. Go with
So
it.
then what's the process? I mean, so you've got to make 90% of the listed price, but then we've got these adjustments that I'm sure that's going to be taken consideration.
Mhm.
And then the appraisal come up. So we go to court and then they say, okay, well, this is a value. I guess if they said I'm going to get the appraisal back in 30 to 60 days, and then someone else is saying, oh, no, it's going to take 30 days. They're just overestimating.
Well, you should be able to get a hold of who the appraiser is, who the most likely referee is in your case. For everyone else that's new here and doesn't already know this, this is a California process. It's not going to apply to most states. So you should be able to see who the referee is, who's going to do an appraisal before, and then I would want you taking your price opinion or CMA and comps to that and sending it to the referee. You're basically doing their job for them because they're going to do the equivalent of an exterior broker price opinion. That's basically what they're doing, and they could be way off on value. So I
You
want
know,
you to be able to provide your justification for the price that you guys are selecting. And if it's good, they'll use it.
I was told that the referee is a liaison between the referee and the lawyer, that I wasn't going to be having any communication with him.
Somebody else in California chime in. Someone chimed in a week or two ago and said that it's listed on the court filing. Anyone in California that can confirm that, raise your hand real quick. And Bill ran this call exclusively for a long time, and you were in here a little bit ago, Bill. Do you know Bill Gross? I don't see if Bill's in here or not. Anybody know this? Now, I think that so let's say that they let's say that you don't have any interaction with them. Give the attorney your justification of value, give them your report and your comps, and have them send it to the referee. Referees they're like the rest of us. When we can't get inside of a house, we would gladly accept somebody else's justification of things that we can't see. When I was doing BPOs every day, and I do an exterior broker price opinion, when the listing agent would send me pictures of the house and their comps, they just made my job easier. I would accept it in a heartbeat. I still get paid. I know the condition of the property now, so I would in that case give it to the attorney, but I would also dig in and confirm what I'm saying. I think that you're going to have access to their name and contact information. You just have to do a little bit of digging.
I've access to the name, but no contact information. The name was
Okay.
on the court, the probate letter.
Got it. Got it.
So
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
I do a little digging and try to look them up. And if you can't do anything, give it to the attorney and have them pass it through.
Can you give me top two things that probate attorneys are looking for new probate girls like me to perform by? I know that, of course, promptness, getting back to people on time, returning phone calls, performing on the timeline again was important. Can you guys give me any newbies, the top two or top three things that's important?
Sure. So this is going to be a little bit vague. It's more of a way of thinking than a specific action item. So attorneys get paid in California generally, and this is the same with a lot of states, not all. Generally, they're getting paid a percentage of the estate's value. And the faster they can get that estate and that probate file settled, the faster they get paid. So what they're looking for from us, for the most part, and our way of thinking is, what can I help their client do that moves the case through faster? So if that is, let me coordinate and arrange bids and a clean out on the house, let me do that. Let me meet a locksmith and change the locks. Let me do that. let me come up with a real estate listing strategy faster. Yes, sometimes it means that you play paralegal or liaison between the attorney and the client. I've done this. Not all attorneys want this, but I've done this with a few attorneys where the attorney goes, "Hey, the client's not answering my call." And I've told other attorneys this, "Hey, the client's not answering my call. Bruce, when you run up to the house next time, will you stop by and take this paperwork to them?" Okay. And I've had a lot of clients, they're overwhelmed. They're dealing with a lot of other stuff, especially if there's an emotional loss involved. And many times we build this relationship that they don't even have with the attorney. And so the attorney knowing that they can lean on you to to shuffle paperwork around from time to time can really help a transaction. So I would let the attorney know that you're there to get them paid faster and help the clients move through probate faster. And then say, "I don't know what that looks like for you, but I want you to use me like you would an assistant."
I love that. Thank you so much. And I love those 2 books. I'm getting them today. Thank
Oh,
you for those
awesome.
referrals.
Good. Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate it. Hey, let's go to Courtney Fisher.
Hi, Bruce. Yeah, good. I had a quick question for you.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
had spoke. I got on here about, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and I think I'm struggling a little bit with my approach.
Mhm.
I've been doing probate for about, I would say about 3 years now, and I've done quite a few deals, but not as much as I know I could do. I
Mhm.
think that my approach is just strictly real estate, and
Okay.
I'm trying to position myself to, because I hear a lot of people like they're actually walking people through the process and helping them. And I'm like missing that whole time by just going straight for the property of being able to help them. So I guess my question is like, what could I do? Or, okay, let me back up a little bit. So, say for an example, if I have leads and I've pulled a list, but these people filed probate, let's say 4 months ago. So I'm going straight for the real estate because they've already been in probate for some time, or is it another approach that I could do?
So they've been in probate for a while. I would take what I already know about them and find a way to ask them a question that I already know the answer to. So when I am having that initial conversation, I'm going to present quickly my service. By the way, if it's strictly real estate, that's okay. It's okay. My encouragement to you would be to present a concierge service or a turnkey probate service that guides through the process. That would be my advice. I've seen it successfully both ways. So I'm not saying go away from your real estate service. But coming out of that presentation, that offer, that unique selling proposition, which should be really short because the first time you connect with someone on the phone, they're not really listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get real. They just went, "Oh crap, I hoped this was someone I knew. It's someone trying to sell me something." So they're not paying attention to everything that you can do for
Mm-hmm.
the most part. Maybe they are, but it's unlikely. Um, so that's your reason to make that offer short. Okay. And then your question coming out of it is imperative. So if you already know they've been in the middle of probate for a while, my question coming out of my offer is going to be, "Hey, did you just get started with probate or have you been in the middle of it for a while?" It
Okay.
gives them the illusion of choice. It gives you the control because you know exactly what they're going to say. "Oh yeah, we've got everything under control. We've been in the middle of it for a long time, or we're almost done." Okay, great. That's your opportunity if you go with a concierge approach. That's your opportunity to shift the conversation toward real estate. It's one
Got
reason why I don't lead with a real estate offer. I lead with a concierge offer because when they resist me, which it almost always happens, when they resist, when they kind of put that skeptical shield up, I can say, hey, that's amazing. I tell you what, I'm going to send you some information on what I do. You can give me a call at any point in the future you need help. Is that fair? Yes.
Gotcha.
Before I jump off the phone, can I ask, is the property something that you guys are thinking about selling, or are you just not sure about it yet? Okay, so I'm guiding them through this process, but I know where I know their answer that they're going to give me before they give me the answer.
Okay.
And it helps me as long as I know what answer they're going to give. It helps me perfectly craft the way that I'm going to respond to that answer.
Okay. Okay, that makes total sense. Okay,
Now,
thank you.
absolutely. Now, the other thing that you need to do is make sure that you have a great warm marketing campaign because
Okay.
there's so many people now. If you're dealing with older probate leads, your likelihood of getting an appointment really fast is higher.
Okay.
But your likelihood of catching people that have already sold is also high. So,
Exactly.
so with anyone, you need to recognize when they're just not prepared on a cold call to deal with that issue right now. You need to recognize and move them into your pipeline, and your pipeline needs to have a really good um, marketing series. So email, mail, different drop-offs, things like that. Because your ultimate objective when you start a dialogue is just making that introduction. Your secondary objective that's also really, really high is to be memorable.
That's right. Okay.
Okay, so anything that you can do to be memorable is going to help you, and don't worry if they're not ready yet.
Okay. And one more question for you, Bruce. I was looking at the video where you had the probate baby steps. Is that something like that template that you were going through? Is that something that like we could purchase or anything like that?
So the baby steps, I'm going to show you guys. The baby steps are a part of coaching. So what you guys are going to get right now, and I'm going to share my screen. I thought you might ask that question. I've been meaning to reach out to you.
I
So
know, yeah.
the baby steps are a part of our coaching program. So you're not going to get the complete guidance on this without going into a few months of coaching at least.
Gotcha.
But I generally want to chop my projects down into a learning phase. And you can go back, this will be on YouTube, so you can look at this. A learning phase, a prospecting phase. So you've been doing probate for 3 years. You probably don't need a lot of the learning. Prospecting phase. Prospecting is mainly just getting my basic approach down. Then a warm marketing phase where I put some emails together, some mailers together, get note cards, just different things like that. This is kind of a simplified list because this list could go on 10 miles long if you have 5 years to build your business. Uh,
Gotcha.
but if you have 6 months to get things in place, go with a shorter list like this. Then you want to go after trying your new prospecting approach, you want to come back to prospecting and work on role playing and adding skills. Then we want to put some cold marketing together. Then we want to start working on our team. And by the way, you can mix and match all these together. It doesn't need to be taken in this exact order, but I do try to prioritize some of the earlier baby steps in my business. So building your team is important. You don't want to wait 6 months to do it. You're just not going to do three of these things at a time while you're ignoring the earlier baby steps. You might do one of these with two or three of the earlier baby steps in any given week. So team, then you need to start working on adding extra value. So this is for marketing and things. It's things like checklists, brochures, vendor worksheets, spreadsheets, things like that. Different things that you can insert into your marketing and give away. Then we're going to prospect some more. We're going to work on monetizing our business, so getting vendors to contribute to our marketing expense, making sure our appointment approach is better. So hopefully this just helps. It's more of a theory than an exact, this is what you do and exactly when you do it. It's more the theory behind taking the different pieces of your business and chunking them down into different categories together And then the idea is every week you should knock out 2 or 3 projects. And if you do that for 6 months, you're going to have a business that far outpaces and is far more systemized and streamlined than anyone else is ever going to be able to keep up with, unless they've coached with me. Okay.
Nice. No, I like that a lot. Yes, because I seen it on one of the videos and I was like, I wonder if it's something that we have access to, but I love that breakdown. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Courtney. Hey, Joe.
Hey, so I got a quick question about cold mailers or emailers. I was looking at an affidavit list that I have, and I noticed that I have a bunch of emails next to these phone numbers, and I'm just like, should I just grab all these and do like a cold email prior to the call and maybe put a video in there or something? I mean, it seems like an email would be an easy way to try to touch these people.
Yeah.
Is it effective, or is it just a waste of time?
No, it's not a waste of time. We need to recognize that there's always an approach that's going to have a higher likelihood of getting access. Every consumer that you have, whether it's a fiduciary, a lawyer, an estate sale company, the PR themselves, whoever they are, every resource, every individual has their own formula. And what we're doing with our prospecting is we're just trying to figure out what code unlocks that relationship. And in some cases, the code is going to be a cold email. There's probably some people here that maybe had gotten a cold email from me or an assistant at some point. In some cases, the code to unlock a relationship is a phone call, and you pitch on the phone. In some cases, it's a phone call where you don't pitch on the phone. You offer some kind of value and say, I'd like to come meet for 5 minutes. Okay. In some cases, it's going to be a text or a video introduction. So I would do a cold email, but I wouldn't lean too heavily on it. And I would not expect more than maybe a 10% response rate. And if you don't get a response rate, it doesn't mean it didn't work. It just means that it's time to move to the next step in your approach. So I would lean a little more heavily on phone. But I would also mix in some cold email.
My thought behind it was if I emailed them prior to calling, then if I call them, I could point to the email and be like, hey, I just tried reaching out. I don't know if you got my email. Like, it just kind of something to break the ice so that there's like a little bit of a connection or some type of warmer intro versus just me being like, you have no idea who I am.
Hey, listen, when I call, I love saying you have no idea who I am. It really,
Yes, that
really
could work
breaks
too.
the
Yeah.
ice. Yeah.
Self-deprecate.
Yeah, absolutely. People are much more inclined to listen when you're okay pointing to the elephant in the room. So this is the elephant in the room. This is a solicitation. We don't have to say it's a solicitation, but they answer the phone, and we spend all our time as agents, investors. We spend all our time trying to pretend like they know us and like it's not an inconvenience. Okay. When I call, it's usually, hey, I don't know if I have the right number. Is this Joe Slaughter by any chance? Yeah, yeah. Joe, listen, hey, you don't know me. This call's totally out of the blue. Could I take a fast second and just tell you what I was calling for? They will pretty much always give you the right to go to that next step if you open the call that way. Now, if you want the little bit of a crutch of being able to point to a letter, point to an email, totally fine. There's people that do that with their probate leads too. I sent you a mail. I sent you an email. I'm all for that. I don't think that you guys need that crutch, but if you want to point to that and kind of use it as a little bit of a crutch to get through the opening of your call, I'm for it.
Yeah, I mean, could give me like, even if there's a small video or at least a picture, it kind of puts a face to the voice and just gives
Sure.
some type of correlation so that they don't feel like I'm a total stranger.
Yeah. Do recognize that it's a crutch, and it's a crutch that you can use, and I'm not going to make fun of you. Okay.
And if you
You just
did, what
don't
difference would it
have to
make?
use it. You don't have to use it.
Right. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Good talk.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. We are up against the top of the hour. I appreciate everybody being here. I feel like I saw another hand pop up, but I'll let you guys go. If anyone needs anything, let me know. I did not have a chance. It's great interaction. I always like that. Next time, don't wait until I have to ramble for 15 minutes to start throwing your hands up because I hate rambling. So next week, Tuesday, 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific, we'll be here again. We're not doing a workshop tomorrow. I'm going to interview an industry pro, and it's just going to be a private interview, and I'll be putting that out in the next couple of days. So instead of a workshop tomorrow, we'll be doing that. The next week, we'll be doing a role play session on Wednesday. So next week, we'll be doing a Tuesday coaching call and a Wednesday role play call. If anyone needs anything in the meantime, or you want to check out Probate Mastery, I encourage you guys to go check that out. In case you don't know, Mastery is our certification program. It's available to buy on its own or available to package with our attorney program called Earn. You just go to probatemastery.com and look at that. If anyone would like to pair those with actual coaching, where you get group and one-on-one coaching, you can go to a discovery call on the probatemastery.com homepage. If there's nothing else, I will see you guys next week. Appreciate everybody being here. Thanks so much.